We're talking about Potiphar's wife today. And then therefore, this song makes total sense. And it's totally appropriate for a Sunday morning. And if not, then you might be like, what in the world is this church about? And you know what? Just stick around and find out. That's all I can say. Y'all, good morning. Welcome to More Church. If I haven't got the opportunity to meet you yet, my name is Whitney. My husband Aaron and I get to serve here as the executive pastors. And we're in a series called Joseph's Journey. We're walking through the story of Joseph in the Bible. And we started it last week. If you weren't here, I'll give you the 90-second recap real fast, maybe 60 seconds, see if I can do it that fast. But Joseph is the 11th son of Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name changes to Israel. So out of Israel, the 12 tribes, Jacob is the 11th son. And Jacob's dad loves him more than anybody else in the family. He loves him the most, so he makes him a coat of many colors. And Joseph wears his coat proudly, as we all should wear the favor of God proudly in our life. But because of it, his brothers hate him. They despise him, they are jealous of him, and not to mention, then God gives Jacob a dream. He basically lets him know, hey, one day your brothers are gonna bow before you, and so he goes and tells his brothers, hey guys, I had this dream. Look how awesome it is that you're gonna bow before me. And his brothers were like, no, we're not about that. That's not cool. And so then he gets a second dream. And he thinks, you know what, that went over so well the first time when I told my brothers, I think I'll go tell them about this second dream. And so he tells them, and they're like, no, dude, we hate you, basically, is what they say. The brothers are shepherds out in the field, and so the dad one day says, hey, go check on your brothers while he's wearing his fancy coat, because his coat sets him apart, and he ain't trying to work, and he ain't about that working life like his brothers are, and so he sends them out to go check on them, and they see him coming a long way off, because the enemy sees you coming long before you even believe in yourself, and so that's why you got to know who you are and the dream that God's placed in your heart. You got to protect the dream at all costs, because the enemy's going to see you coming. So they see him coming and they're like, oh man, we should kill him. If we kill him, we kill the dream, then we ain't got to bow before him. That's what we ought to do. And as he comes closer, they decide to, they take off his robe and coat, they throw him in a pit, and they think they're gonna kill him, but then the Ishmaelites are coming on their way to Egypt. And so the brothers say, you know what, rather than kill him, why don't we just make a couple bucks off him? We'll sell him into slavery. We'll tell our dad that he died. And so that's exactly what they do. And they sell him into slavery. And I imagine that Jacob thought, surely my dad is gonna rescue me here at the last moment, but instead he's on his way to Egypt. What he doesn't realize is that actually God is using the Ishmaelites, using this moment of betrayal to send him into his destiny. Because eventually one day Joseph is going to be second in command of all of Egypt. He's gonna be running junk in the palace, and he actually needed that betrayal to send him on the course to the purpose and the plan that God has for his life. So you might feel off course, you might feel betrayed, but can I tell you, God is sending you into your destiny. You can trust it, you can believe it. He's not done with you yet, so don't quit in the pit. Don't quit when it gets hard. You can clap about that, encourage yourself. Trust and know that he's a good God. And I don't know what you feel like is killing you right now, but your caravan is on the way. I know you feel crushed. I know you feel overwhelmed. I know you feel like you're dry, busted, and disgusted, but right now God is moving things on your behalf. He is working even when you can't feel it, even when you don't see it. Your caravan is coming, baby. It's on its way. You can trust it. I told you a little bit about my story last week. Before I did this job, I worked in the cosmetics world for about a little over a decade. And I sold perfume, I did skincare, makeup, all the things. I started in fragrances and learned a whole lot about them and sold perfumes for a long time. And then, in cosmetics, I actually never applied for any job. I would just get phone calls like, hey, we think you'd be good at this. And so then I got a call and they said, hey, will you come do skincare for this company? It'll be great. You'll do a great job. We believe it. We know it. They sent me to training. So now I'm doing skincare for a makeup company and doing a lot of events and helping ladies find their right, perfect moisturizer to help them with their fine lines and wrinkles, right? And all of the things. And then one day I got a call and they said, hey, we need you to come be on this team to be a makeup artist. We're gonna go do an event. They're gonna do skincare. We know you're great at that, but also in this event, you're gonna get the opportunity to do some makeup. And I was like, okay, cool. I've never done that before. I've only put makeup on my own face. I've never been to training. I've been to all the trainings about perfume. I can tell you all about the nose and how to make where it comes from. I can tell you every detail. I can tell you about skincare. I don't know nothing about makeup. They're like, that's okay. You're great at what you do, and Linda will be there to help you. Linda is the makeup counter manager at this store, and she'll be there. She'll guide you. You'll be just fine. Okay, so I go. I'm at the event, it's going great. We're doing, we like get the ladies, talk to them, do the thing, do the skincare, do the makeup. And as long as the lady looked a lot like me, I just put the same makeup on her that I would have put on me. And it was great for a long time. Till one lady came who had a lot darker complexion than I did. And I was like, I just been putting makeup on my white face my whole life. I don't know what to do. And so I went to Linda because they said, Linda will help you. And I was like, Linda, I need some help. I've never done this before. Can you give me your suggestion? Can you help me know what will help look good on this lady so that I don't try to make her look like me. I try to make her look good, right, Blessing? You know what I'm talking about. I want her to look good. And so she's like, sure. So she pulls all the things and all the pieces that I need. She gives them to me. I take it over. I'm confident. I'm talking. I'm selling this. I got her the right skincare routine for what she needs for her life. And then I start putting the makeup on her. And I'm like, this looks kind of funny. That's okay. More is better. So I'll put more on her and it will be great. And I keep going and I'm like, what in the world? This is not working the way I thought it would. And all of a sudden, here comes Linda. And Linda says, I'm so sorry. Girl, what is she even doing to you? She doesn't even know what she's doing. She's new. She's never even been through training yet. She don't know what she's doing. Let me take care of you. Linda's gonna take care of you. Classic Linda. Where is Linda? I tried to find her on Facebook this week, but I don't know. She might be dead. I don't know. Just kidding. I did try to find her. I couldn't find her. And you know, sometimes it's more surprising when someone who's supposed to help you actually hurts you than it is when someone you kind of thought would not help you hurts you. I did not expect any of the other makeup artists to help me because we're kind of in competition with each other to see who has the best sales. But Linda, at the manager at the counter, I thought she would be all in it for like the whole, but she just didn't like this young lady who got some weird favor from she don't know where, and why does somebody believe in her? And I've been working at this counter for 25 years, and why don't they see me? And all of a sudden, she just, instead of helping me, hurt me. I can't imagine what Joseph felt. The brothers who he grew up with in life, opening Christmas presents on Christmas morning, doing fireworks on the 4th of July, right? All of the people in his life that should have loved him and helped him and cared for him are actually the ones who betrayed him. I can't imagine the hurt that he must have felt and how deeply that really probably screwed some things up for him and the hopelessness he must have felt. But what I love about the story of Joseph, unlike a lot of the characters we've been learning what not to do from, we get to look at Joseph and learn what to do. Because Joseph didn't allow his hurt to kill the hope of his dream. He didn't allow the circumstance to keep him from stepping into the more God had for him. He didn't allow the circumstance to change his character. Instead, he let his character grow and bloom and blossom so that when he stepped into everything God had for him, he was ready to not just be there, but to stay there. And my prayer for you today is that you would learn to keep the hope alive. Don't stop believing. Trust that even though you might have been hurt, God has more. He wants to build your character. The circumstance might not look like what you were hoping for, but in the midst of it, he's building your character because he's more concerned about your character than he is about your comfort. We don't like that because that's uncomfortable. But the more he has for us is worth leaning into. So today I want us to learn from this story. I'm going to read the whole thing and then we'll walk through it together. It's found in Genesis 39. says Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. So the Ishmaelites take him down there. And Potiphar, who was an Egyptian, one of Pharaoh's officials, he's the captain of the guard. So this is an important dude. He bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him there. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household and entrusted his care, everything he owned. From the time he put Joseph in charge of his household and in all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had because of Joseph, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. And with Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. We go into McDonald's, we go into Taco Bueno. He's like, that's literally all I'm stressed about, right? He probably ate better than that, but you know what I'm saying. Now, Joseph was built and handsome. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me." But he refused. He said, "With me in charge, my master does not concern himself with anything in this house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. One day, he went inside the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by the cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out of the house. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand and had ran out of the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said to them, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came in here to sleep with me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." This lady is drama. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. Then she told him this story. "That Hebrew slave you brought us came to me to make sport of me. But as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out of the house." When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. So the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison, and he was made responsible for all that was done there. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph and gave him success in whatever he did. Joseph finds himself in really difficult circumstances, not at all where he planned, not at all where the dream made it look like he was going. He did not have the rescue that he hoped for, but he really was on his way to his purpose. He spent 11 years in Potiphar's house. The first thing we can learn from this is that character building does not happen overnight. It happens one day at a time, day after day after day. 11 years. But the first thing we notice that Joseph teaches us, we read it at the top of the chapter and we read it at the bottom, and this is it. Joseph prioritized the presence of God. The Lord was with Joseph. The Lord was with Joseph. He prospered. Everything he did came to success. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, the Lord gave him success in everything. He was entrusted with everything because the Lord was with Joseph. That doesn't mean that he was walking around with like a little angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other shoulder, and it was like, hopefully he makes the right choice. To say that the Lord was with Joseph means that Joseph was with the Lord. that they were in relationship, walking hand in hand, that they were in communication, that he had prayer and dedication, that God was guiding him. The reason he was blessed is because he was listening to the voice of the Lord in the decisions that he was 17 years old when he went into Potiphar's house. You think he knew how to make a bed, much less how to take care of an entire household? But the Lord was with him, guiding and directing his steps. And because of that favor, he determined to be faithful. Potiphar saw his hard work, his abilities, his trustworthiness, and he went from a slave to a steward. He took him from bondage to being the boss of the house. How are you stewarding the favor of God in your life right now? Maybe it's you're in the place that you did not intend to be. Maybe you're under circumstances that you did not intend to have. But how are you stewarding the place where God has you right now? It may not be where you want to be, but it is where he has you right now. It may not be where you want to be, but it is where he has you right now. How are you stewarding it? Don't discount the place God's given you favor just because it's not the dream destination. Don't discount that he's given you favor in that job just because it feels dead end to you right now. Don't discount that he's given you favor in that relationship, even though you feel like, is this all there is? Is there more? God has more for you, but trust where he has you and work to steward what he's given you right now. You know, there are two kinds of people in this world, right? The clean people and the messy people. The stay up way too, that's over here. The stay up way too late people and the get up early people, right? The spends all the money people and the saves all the money people. And the really great marriages have those two people marry each other. I remember when Aaron and I were dating, he had an apartment, was living on his own. I lived in my parents' house until we got married. And when he would come over for dinner or come over to my parents' house, he would be like, Whit, your bedroom is a mess. And I was like, so? This is my mama's house. When I have my house, it's gonna be clean. When I have my house, I'll keep it all in order. How many of you know that the greatest fights of our whole 25 years, almost 25 years, is because he wants everything clean. I don't know why. Oh, something about order, something of whatever. But it's actually biblical. Whoever can be trusted with little can be trusted with much. Whoever is dishonest with little is dishonest with much. And how in the world did I think that I was going to be able to take care of a whole house when I couldn't even make my bed and put my shoes away in my bedroom? And some of us are frustrated of where we are right now because we feel like he hasn't given us enough, and yet we're not being responsible with the little that he's given us right now. I love you, but I've been there. Be faithful where you are, not just where you want to be. We think, well, when I get the promotion, I will then. When we make enough money, we'll tithe then. When I have more time in my schedule, I'll make time for my family then. When I can make it all work out. But if we won't do it here, we won't ever do it there. Joseph teaches us, do you think he actually cared how the food, how the order, how the finances went for Potiphar's house? He's a slave. He's being forced to do it. But he was faithful there. He didn't treat it like a chore. He treated it like a privilege. Are you treating the stewardship of what God has given you? Are you treating it like a chore? Or are you treating it like a privilege? Be faithful where you are, not just where you want to be, because character isn't built overnight. I was thinking about it, and man, I honor my husband. I love him, and I respect him so much because of who he is. He does a lot of fancy things. It's easy for people to look at him now and go, wow, that dude's got his junk together. Last week, he was late getting home, and I was frustrated at him because I had to help him get his stuff together because he had some guys coming over to go over a Bible study, and I was like, I'm having to get the Topo Chicos ready. Where are you at? What are you doing? He was like, I'm in a meeting with Ross Perot Jr. We're talking about the future of the airport. Then he had this other meeting scheduled with the CEO, president of a commercial airline company. And I'm like, oh, I guess you had some important things happening. Okay, I will be quiet. And it's easy now to look and go, dang, babe, I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. But the reason I'm really proud of him has nothing to do with any of those things. Because he started as a guy who mowed the lawn at the airport and put gas in the airplanes at the airport. He started as a guy that while he did those things in 100-degree heat, still made sure his kids showed up at church every Sunday and went to youth every Wednesday. And that when we had not enough money and a little more month, we still made sure to tithe first. Because that's what God told us to do. He still made time to serve at church, even though he already felt like the job he was doing was below him in the job where he worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But he said, hey, you know what? Where I am, I'll be faithful. And so I honor him now. I honor you now. I love you. Thank you. Because of the lesson I've learned to be faithful with little. In order to be trusted with much, if you believe there's more and you believe God has more for you, be faithful where he has you right now. From the time he put him in charge, from the time Potiphar put Joseph in charge of his household and all he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. Who and what you're connected to matters. Who and what you're connected to makes a bigger difference than you might even realize. And you think, well, I just want to stay connected so they know the love of Jesus. Well, how's that helping your life? How's that blessing your life? We think, well, I just don't want to let go of them until I have the new relationships over here. Well, hey, you're never going to find the love of your life till you break up with the scrub of your life. I didn't say that in first service, so somebody in this room need to hear it. Who and what you're connected to matters. It matters in walking in the favor and the blessing of the Lord. Everything Potiphar had went from being not blessed to fully blessed because of Joseph. And if you will align yourself next to some people who are walking in the favor of God, can I promise you that favor will start to get on you? But the thing that makes me sad in this story is that Potiphar never went from walking in Joseph's favor to walking in his own. He never took the time to say, hey man, can you teach me about this thing? Can you show me what it is you're doing to live such a favored, blessed life? He enjoyed the blessing of the fruit, but he never planted himself enough to grow his own fruit. And if I can just beg you, you're already doing a great job because you're here on the 4th of July weekend. But if I can just beg you to take the extra time to plant yourself to learn how to grow your own fruit. You can go to re-engage. Maddie talked about it. It starts this next week in an open group. Enrique and Tim and I were talking about it this week. It's one of the greatest blessings of More Church. We're seeing so much fruit come out of it. But the reason that that's happening is it's connected to the culture of More Church. And because we've fought so hard to build the culture correct, then this other ministry has its blessing too. And so what I beg you to do is not just show up for 16 weeks and then think, we're good, we figured it out. But instead, use that opportunity to build some faithfulness. And then take that faithfulness and take it over here and transfer it to a life group. Take it over here, transfer it to a ministry team. Take it over here, transfer it to some places of obedience, and learn to walk in the fullness and favor that God has for you. Not just connect to some fruit of somebody else's favor, because God has enough favor to go around. He has enough for you and you and you and you. That's good. Okay, next, Genesis 39, 6 through 12. Joseph was well built and handsome. I don't know if this is when he was 17. I don't know if this is when he turned 21. I don't know when it is. But the enemy will use your strengths against you if he can. He's using the fact that he is well built and handsome against him to get Potiphar to bring some temptation. You might have a great work ethic, but be careful, because the enemy will use your strengths against you if he can. You might have an ability to talk anybody into anything. I could sell skincare to a 12-year-old back. Now they're doing it now at Sephora. They all be buying. But I could sell. You don't need skincare at 12 years old, just so you know. But I could do it because I was good at talking to people and convincing people. But be careful with that gift, because it can turn you into a manipulator real fast. The enemy is really tricky at using your strengths against you if you'll let him. So be aware. Be aware and know who you are. I love that Joseph says, no one is greater in this house than I am. When you read it without context, it sounds arrogant and prideful. Pride is inflated sense of an external self-importance. That's not what he is. He's confident. Confidence is knowing who you are, a healthy internal self-belief. And he believed who God said he would be. He knew no one else is greater. God's given me favor here. He's given me position here. And that is a responsibility, because with great power comes great responsibility. And so I am not going to allow myself to fall into this temptation, because look what I have been given, what I have been entrusted with. And so you have to know who you are. You have to know who God's created you to be, so that when temptation comes, let you hear that again. When temptation comes, it will come. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how holy you are. When temptation comes, you have to be ready and prepared. Knowing who you are is the very first step that Joseph teaches us, that we have to know who we are. Second is we have to magnify the cost of the mess. He says, everything he owns has been entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house. My master has withheld nothing from me except you. Then how could I do such a wicked thing? How could I screw up this good thing we've all got going? Potiphar's wife is walking in the blessing of Joseph being connected to the house. He's like, hey, lady, there's a giant mess that's created if we do this thing. Hey, let's not allow our good thing we got going to be screwed up by one temptation. Are you magnifying the cost of the mess? Have you even evaluated the cost of the mess? Have you even evaluated the fallout of the temptation? I know it's just a small addiction and it ain't hurting anybody right now. But your kids are connected to you, and if they're connected to you, then your addiction is connected to them. Are you magnifying the cost of you falling into that temptation again, even though you know you shouldn't go there? You know you shouldn't do that. You know that it makes you feel bad every time. But have you actually evaluated what will happen when this all blows up in your face? We have to magnify the cost of the mess to say, Joseph's like, I will not give up my dream for just hanging out with you and having a little love and touch and squeezing. You ain't worth it, Linda. You ain't worth it. I don't know her name, but I'm gonna make her name be Linda. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, if your name's Linda, I really like you and you're amazing, and God has great plans for your life. She felt very convicted all of a sudden. Okay. And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. Day after day, I won't go to bed and I won't even be with you. I won't even be near you. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by his cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out the house. Joseph teaches us, listen, temptation is real, but it's resistible. Temptation is real. I don't care where you are. I don't care how long you've been doing this Jesus thing. I don't care what your life looks like. I don't care if you just stay at home every day by yourself and you try to stay in a box so you can be protected. Temptation is real, but it's resistible. And I feel like Joseph had to have asked himself these questions because it's saying day after day, day after day after day. I don't know if it's through the whole 11 years or if like she waited till he was 21. I don't know how long it was, but I know that day after day, and the only way he could have possibly continued to resist was by answering these questions: when, where, how. Because I also think the Bible is intentional about what it says and what it doesn't say, and I think it's so intentional that it says one day he went into the house to attend to his duties and none of the household servants were inside. Because I think that means that normally when he went into the house was when the servants were inside. And it doesn't say it, but I imagine Linda, Potiphar's wife, said, "Hey, servants, come outside and do this project for me." It doesn't say that. I'm taking Whitney liberties. But the only way he could have possibly survived this temptation day after day was to have a strategy. Have you asked yourself, when are you tempted? Are you tempted in the morning or are you tempted at night? Are you tempted when you're happy or are you tempted when you're sad? Are you tempted when you're proud of yourself or when you're insecure? When are you tempted? Where are you tempted? Are you tempted when you go to this place or that place? Are you tempted at home by yourself? Are you tempted on your phone when you're scrolling? Are you tempted where? I imagine that's why he knew, okay, she's gonna try to find me inside the house, so I'm gonna go to inside the house when the servants are there. And this one day, she just got around it. How? How are you tempted? How? What is the thing tugging on you? What's the thing that kind of draws you back? I know for me that if I keep looking at Instagram all day long, doom scrolling, and then I see them ads and I think, I'm doing Joseph's Journey. I should wear a cute little vest on stage. It'll be so good. Oh, look at this ad. It's advertising to me. Okay, I'm gonna order this one and this one and this one, except they're coming from overseas, and then it's gonna get there, and it's gonna be 3 sizes too small, and then it's gonna be too difficult to figure out how to exchange it or return it, and so then I'm just gonna put it in the back of the laundry room, and it'll be fine. It'll be no big deal. I ain't hurting nobody till I'm $10,000 in credit card debt. How are you tempted? How? On your phones, in your DMs, when you go to this place or that place, when you talk to these friends or hang out in this place, when your boss has a project that you know, if I just fudge the numbers just a little bit here, then it'll be fine. Like, how are you tempted? It's just a little love and touch and squeeze, and it's not a big deal. We have to magnify the cost of the mess. We have to recognize that temptation is real, but it is resistible. He refused her no matter what picture she painted for him. Because I imagine that many times she said, like, I'm the lady of the house. You're my slave. You have to do what I say. I imagine she took some liberties of her own to try to get him to do what she wanted him to do. But he realized, no, the enemy distorts the dream through false fantasy. Because he knew the dream that God had given him. And I imagine it would feel a little bit tempting. Oh, this is Potiphar's wife. And what if Potiphar just had an accident? And suddenly, I became Potiphar's wife's husband. Maybe I could become the leader of the guards, and maybe I could have everything in this household. Then maybe all of a sudden, I would be very fancy. I could send a letter to my brothers, and then they would show up, and then they would bow to me. The enemy is really good at creating a false fantasy of the dream, of presenting something in an enticing way that makes us feel like I can accomplish the dream on my own. I can get to where I'm trying to go. I can circumvent the process. I can get a little bit ahead in my own right, in my own way, in my own talent, in my own ability, and shortcut the dream. And we have to recognize, just as Joseph did, that the enemy distorts the dream through false fantasy. I was thinking about this week, and I remember last week I shared about kind of that pit season that we found ourselves in. And as we started to crawl out of it and dig out of it, and the Lord started to bring some blessing and favor in our life, Aaron was flying planes again, and he was out and about. He'd be gone sometimes couple nights a week, and the kids were getting a little older. And so I decided to go back to school and take some classes and start working more towards my future, the plan, the purpose, the dream that I had for my life. And I took a class. One of the classes was a Spanish class. And I remember I'm young, I'm in my early 20s. And so these people were about the same age. We're hanging out, we're having fun. And I am a really great friend to have in a group project. I will make sure that all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. We will not have any typos. It will be presented on time. It will get there early. You will make sure that we get a grade that is worthy of the project that we have done. And so at the end of the class semester, towards the end of it, they made us in a group project. And so we had to do this thing together. And so I had a small group of about like 4 or 5 of us, and we were working on it. And I remember, man, it was fun. These people, I'm kind of like, I have 2 kids, a mortgage, a husband who's traveling. I'm navigating like babysitters and different, like my life is busy, and these people are just like excited to go to IHOP till 2 a.m. This is like totally a different life than the life I'm living. This is kind of fun. I'm hanging out. They have no real responsibilities. They have no real like, weight on their shoulders. This is fun. This is easy. This is light. I'm gonna work hard on this group project. We're gonna have fun. So we're hanging out. And then one day I missed a class due to some things, and I didn't make it. And this one guy in our group messaged me, and he was like, hey. And he was like a nice guy. I honestly can't remember his name anymore, but he reminded me of my husband when we first met. He was from the Northeast. He had them like tube socks and tennis shoes, them Jordan tennis shoes. He was funny. He was personable. He made you feel like you were his best friend when you started talking to him. He was in sales. He was in pharmaceutical sales, I remember. And he was taking the Spanish class to help him with his clients that were speaking Spanish. He was like, I need to up my Spanish game, so he's taking the class. And so that week that I missed, he messaged me and said, hey, I know you missed, but we're gonna go ahead and do a study group this day at this time. If you wanna show up, we'll be there, this restaurant. And I'm like, sweet, perfect. Well, then I just happened to message this other girl in the group at one point, and she's like, what are you talking about? What study group? What time? No, we're not meeting together. And I realized in a moment that the enemy was creating a false fantasy because his life was easy. He was doing well for such a young age. He just built a house on the other side of town. He didn't have any debt or any responsibilities. He was just like going to like Boston on the weekend, just having fun, just chilling out. And in the moment, I was like, oh my word. I could very easily fall prey to, it was just a study group that no one but me and he showed up for. Oh, we're just messaging about the project for Spanish class. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, but the more I recognize this could actually be an opportunity the enemy is using to make a false fantasy for me to think that life would be a lot easier to trade in than the one I'm living right now with diapers and a husband who's traveling all week and taking care of kids in the middle of the night by myself, eating mac and cheese while he's eating steak and eggs with all his like pilot buddies. Like, oh. And I'll never forget, like I can still see being in the living room at our old house, and I saw my phone ring. That was back in the day as a flip phone ring. And I grabbed the phone and I just threw it at my husband. And I said, I don't know, it's a guy in my class. He keeps wanting to talk to me. I don't really know what to do. So just tell him you're my husband. And like we got the opportunity to have a spirited conversation about it afterward. But at the moment, all I knew was I don't have an exit strategy for this. My people-pleasingness is actually gonna make me wanna be nice to this guy when I really should be like, get the junk out of here, don't ever call me again. So I'm just gonna go to the safest place I know and say, help. In the time in my life, I did not have a culture of people in my life that I could have been like, hey, this dude, and I don't know, and I don't wanna tell my husband because that's crazy, and I didn't have it, so I just went to the safest place I knew. But you have to have a predetermined decision of safe places and safe strategies to get you to flee from the fantasy. Because the enemy is tricky. He didn't say, hey, there's this guy and you could leave your husband and your kids and screw your whole life up and just go like have a weird affair with him that'll amount to nothing. You should just go. He didn't make it like that. It was just a small, simple, oh, this is nothing. We're just laughing. It didn't seem harmful at the moment. But it would have shortcut the dream. And we have to make the decision to not flirt with fantasy, but to flee it. Don't even flirt with the fantasy for a moment, but flee it and say, get out of here. I don't know what to do. You're my husband. Tell him to go away. You got to run from it in the moment because otherwise the enemy, I'm telling you, Potiphar's wife's story is not just about sexual temptation. It's about all the temptation. All the opportunities that are presented to us in our life to flee or to run to the fantasy, to miss out on the dream instead of flee. And we have these opportunities sometimes in our life and we think it's not that big a deal. But are you willing to shortcut, to cause a compromise, to say, hey, I'm gonna trade the dream in for this momentary thing? And I imagine for Joseph, the minute that he ran out the house, right? He ran out and he knew, oh, this ain't about to be good. He knew, like, she got my coat. This lady's crazy. She is not gonna like that I rejected her this hard this time. It is not gonna be good. But I feel like in the moment he was like, you know what? You can take my coat, but you cannot take my calling. You can take my coat, but you cannot have my character. You can take the title that Potiphar has given me, but I will not fail this test. The position is not worth my peace. The position is not worth my purity. The position is not worth my purpose. You can have my coat, but you cannot have my destiny. And are we willing to make that sacrifice? Because just because you make the righteous decision doesn't mean it won't cost you something. Just because you make the right choice doesn't mean you won't deal with consequences. She saw that he left the coat. She's all ticked off. She goes to her servant girls and she's like, look, can you believe? And I imagine the servant girls are like, girl, we're your servant. We hear everything. Girl, you've been hitting on him 5,000 times. Absolutely not. But what are they gonna do? And then she runs to Potiphar when he comes home and she says like, oh my word, can you believe what your slave did to me? And he burns with anger. But I submit to you that he burned with anger for a couple reasons. Because now he realized, I have to do something about this. Can you imagine if Jacob's got 4 wives with all the kids, how many girls do you think Potiphar's got on the side? We can't even imagine what the culture of that house looked like and felt like. But Potiphar's thinking, she's probably maybe even justified in what she was doing, right? She just wanted a companion or a friend. But he's like, dang, now that you've called such great attention to this, I have to do something about this. And so all the favor, all the blessing, now I'm gonna have to come back in my house and work again because now I gotta do something about this dude because also he's the chief of the guards, he's the chief executioner, and the penalty for trying to rape someone's wife is death. Actually, death for him and death for Potiphar's wife, actually both. But instead, he puts him in the prison with all the Pharaoh's prisoners. And suddenly the warden is giving him favor, and I imagine his character preceded him. But he's ticked. Potiphar's ticked because he's like, dang it, I have to do something about this. And so now everybody's mad, but nobody's really helping him or doing anything. And you know what? It's interesting because Joseph, it doesn't say like he pled for himself. It doesn't say that he said, no, that's not what happened, because he was chasing obedience, not favor. He was like, I made the right decision and I must stand on that. I must stand on I was obedient. It might not give me favor with man, but the strategy is just obedience. The strategy is not how to get to the dream. The strategy is being obedient in the presence of the Lord. And favor is the fruit of our faithfulness, the fruit of our obedience. And God is more concerned with our character than our comfort. And so you might feel betrayed, you might feel disappointed, somebody might have hurt you, somebody might have even been able and available to save you and didn't. But God's building your character right now. Because when everything looks like it's going great, don't forget where your favor came from. All the time, I see it all the time. People come, they get connected, they're apart, they're close to the fruit, they get here, they're feeling good, life starts going good, and then all of a sudden they forget where the favor comes from. And then just go back to living life the way they were before they showed up in the first place. Don't forget where the favor came from. But also when things are going really bad, don't forget where the favor came from. Because when it's hard, keep showing up. When it's difficult, when it's not working out, when it's not going your way, keep being a part. Keep staying connected, keep leaning in, keep calling on his name, keep saying, God, I'm gonna obey you even in the midst of it. While Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness, granted him favor in the eyes of the warden, and the warden put Joseph in charge of all those held in the prison. He basically changes locations, but his favor is instantly restored. God's like, I know you're in a different space, but I'm instantly repairing you to the relational status that you had before. The warden paid no attention to anything under Joseph's care because the Lord was with Joseph. He gave him success in whatever he did. The Lord was with Joseph. That means Joseph was with the Lord. And I think that this one piece, if you get no other lines from this entire message, this is the one that you gotta know. Life is not fair, but God is faithful. Life is not fair. Time and time and time again, but God is faithful. Don't confuse your location right now with your destiny. Just because it doesn't look like where you thought it would, doesn't look like what you thought it would, doesn't look like the place that you thought you would be in, don't confuse it and understand life is not fair, but God is faithful. He's using it, he's taking care of it, he's building your character, and he knows how long. He knew he needed 11 years in order to get to where he was going next. He knew. Joseph could have felt like, and all the time I feel like, I'm done. I did it. I passed the test. My character's good. And I don't understand why he's not taking me to the next right step. But it's because he knows. He understands. And he loves me too much to take me somewhere that I'm not ready for. He loves you too much to take you somewhere you're not ready for. Life is not fair, but God is faithful time and time and time again. I think about Romans 5:3. We rejoice in suffering. None of us rejoice in suffering. But it tells us we can rejoice in suffering because suffering produces perseverance. And perseverance is not fancy. It's not popular. Persevere, are you serious? But perseverance produces character, and character, hope. And while he's building your character, he's building your hope for the dream, for the future, for what he has. And if you could just wait 5 more minutes to allow him to build you into who he wants you to be. We don't rejoice though, because it sucks to suffer. Like for real. And for every one of those moments, I have 100 Linda stories. Do you? 100 times where people hurt me, where people screwed it up, where people who should have helped me didn't. I was thinking about I worked at a dentist office. They brought me in to be the office manager, and people didn't really like that because they felt like I didn't have to pay my dues to get to where I was. And so there was this one girl that she was mad at me, but I thought she was my friend. And so she told me, why do you keep parking over here? You need to park over here in this lot. You should park over there. You're walking so far from your parking space. You should park there. Hey, tomorrow when you come in. And I was like, oh, she's just being nice to me. That's so nice. And I remember parking, and then the next morning, the head dentist coming in and being like, who parked in my spot? And I was like, oh, shoot. I did. It was me. I remember one of my first jobs in the church where they weren't doing the job that they were supposed to be doing, and they didn't pick up the print material that they were supposed to be printing multiple weeks in a row. And then I found out that they were telling other people, oh, Whitney, she just won't go pick up the print material. I'm the best to have on your team in a group project. I'll pick up the print material if you tell me to. But just because instead of them getting in trouble, they thought, I'll just say your name and it'll just be, what? We have 100 of those stories. And those are silly, and I can name a bunch more. But we also have deeper ones. I remember when a pastor that I'd been in relationship with a really long time said to my friend Rachel and pastor, hey, you know what happened with her parents, right? So just be careful, because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I can remember times when I would open up to someone and they were telling me their stories, and I thought, oh, we're sharing. And then later I find out that 9 people know the same story because they just shared that story with and then put their slant on it to make me look even more crazy than I already was. Come on, I was already crazy, but a little more crazy. And I know we all have those, where people hurt us when they should have helped us, where they disappointed us and failed us, when they should have been loving and kind, when they should have been encouraging, when they should have been pushing us forward. And instead, they rejected what we thought was relationship. But I've learned that man's rejection is often God's redirection. Because when Joseph got put in the prison of the Pharaoh's prisoners, he was just one hallway away from the palace. And in your life, your rejection you feel might actually be the place that God has brought you to be just one hallway away from your purpose. The refining of your character, the refinishing of what he has for you. Don't quit in the pit. Don't stop believing. Don't give up on it, and don't fall into the temptation of the fantasy over the dream. Trust and believe that he's working all things, that his timing is perfect. We sang it this morning. If I knew then what I know now, I would be still and let you work it out. But I get so mad because it doesn't yet look like what I thought it would. And so I interject, and I try to plan, and I try to move, and I try to do, and instead I should just be still and keep being faithful where you have me and let you work it out. And that's what we learned from Joseph. Chapter 39, he's teaching us that we can trust him and believe that he's still working, that he's still moving, he's still shifting. But also understand that there are some pieces that we get the opportunity to be a part of in building our character. Let him do what he wants to do in you and through you. Keep showing up, keep leaning in, and allow yourself to step into the fullness in his timing and in his plan.